It should pop up on your screen. I went live, so you're gonna get another notification. Chat was working on our end, so you can go out of this one and go on the other. It'd be easier for me to read your messages because the messages on here I can see because they're right here, but I kind of don't want to I can't really answer, there we go. Yeah, just head on over to the other. You guys can pop in and pop out if you want to. It doesn't matter. It's the same live. Um, I just like being able to see your comments that are bigger, and this is really my backup just in case like my computer just did what it did. So you definitely are more than welcome to stay on here, or you can just go over onto the other one because it's easier for me to see your messages. Yeah. So the other one I closed down. We are on one right now on both ends, so it's better. I like the computer better because I'm able to. I'm basically just able to interact better that way. See your messages bigger. Uh, yeah, I just made the screen bigger too. Okay. So I got people on both ends, so that's okay. Either one's fine. And the funny thing is tonight, as soon as I open this freaking chat, I hear Simper's mom, the same person from last time. Sebastian has taken a liking to her, so she's Sebastian's new favorite, I guess. So, hi everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I'll give it a few minutes and we'll get right into it, okay? I try not to digress a little bit. I did write down the filing report because I don't want to skip over anything. I want to stay on task. I don't want to digress. And I want to go through this because as we go through it, I want to see if Sebastian will respond to it. So as in, the computer's already going blurry. I want to see if Sebastian will respond to it as we read it. So that's one of the reasons why I do that. Yeah, it doesn't matter which one you want to get on. I don't mind which one you guys get on. I've learned to know in Sebastian's case, there's always something that gets screwed up with one of the electronics. So I always try to make sure I have a backup for you guys. So we don't miss out on the live and we can always just hop over to the other one. So. Okay. So what we're going to be going tonight is we're going to be going over the actual report. Now, why are we doing that? Because I want Sebastian to hear it and go over with me and see if you guys have any questions that you want to ask him, because we did have to close our live down last time, but I do have a question about the proof of life video that Seth requested from Texas Roadhouse, and I want to ask a specific question on why the district attorney would have had to, why he needed to be present during a proof of life video. District attorney usually isn't involved in cases that are of this stature unless there's been a crime committed, and they have to go over the evidence and they have to look at the evidence and the videos. So if there is a crime committed here, the district attorney's office would want to see it. But to show a video to the missing child's father, that's what boggled my mind a little bit, and that's what made me question, okay, what's that about? Hi, everybody. If that makes sense to you all. I don't know if this way we could do it this way, because no, it's better this way. You guys can see. As you guys can see, one of the solar lights that was on has already been turned off. And that should have already been caught on camera. I want him to know that these horrible things done to him aren't hidden anymore. Yep. And I think for that purpose, for the purpose of knowing now what has gone on, let me just push this over just a tad. What's been going on and what's now in the media and what's now shown. For me, that's Sebastian being vindicated because he tried to tell everybody to listen to him and nobody would listen to him. Now, for the reports in itself, Seth has one phenomenal case because for these cases to be shut down after twice being stated in these reports that he was in imminent danger and to be removed from this home, he should have been removed from this home, and they didn't contact the father in any way, shape, or form. That was clear hidden knowledge. That is a crime. Now this child is missing, and we all know at this point that this was a clear and cut case of they wanted him eliminated. They wanted him out of the picture. Katie cannot claim being a victim in any way, shape, or form. She cannot claim she was scared of Chris because she knew what he was doing and she took up for him. Yes, he had to. He had to have probably felt hopeless at the point of time where he repeatedly reached out to everyone, and it was like it was all for nothing because no matter what he did, no matter what he tried, no one would listen. And he got to a point where Chris was most likely telling him, if you keep opening your mouth, you're going to go missing. So, and this is probably why he told his grandmother not to say anything, because I do know he threatened the father. I do know he threatened Sebastian to hurt his father. I do know that. I feel that. In my opinion, and I feel he threatened the father because Sebastian told me that. Neighbors even said Chris gave Katie an ultimatum, or it's him or Sebastian, and also said CP1 Sebastian. Also, he did say that because that's what Sebastian stated in our live before all these reports were finally made public to the media. Sebastian talked about the pain Chris caused to his stomach. If you guys went back to how many of you went back to the live for hey Simpra's mom? How many of you went back to the live that we did prior to the last live that we did, where Sebastian spoke about his belly, Chris hurting him daily, and what do we now know that's in the reports? Chris would check him daily for a belt and backhand him in his stomach. Do you know what kind of force he most likely used to do that to Sebastian? He probably knocked the wind out of him daily if it wasn't right. And hi, Dolly. Sebastian was mentioning you before I even started my live. He threatened. Catherine says he threatened Seth on a live as well, and said if he opened his mouth about something, he would never open it again. Well, when you have your little buddies in the sheriff's office, and you have, your little CPS connections, you're going to feel moronically untouchable. But now where are the big mouth Proudfoots? Where are they on YouTube? Where are they getting on these channels now? Because everything's been found out. And Sebastian has finally been vindicated. I can't see anyone else on the chat. Well, that's probably because a lot of people have switched over to the other live. I only have a backup for the phone, but that's also if people, I'll try to interact with both as best as I can. One's for a backup and one is basically to see, I think you can see the bigger picture on the computer as well. If you guys look at my camera right now, you see what it's doing? It's focusing in and out, in and out. That REM pod is on back there. If you could see that little bright light where my finger's poking, do you notice that it's... Oh, shit. Okay. Well, this little machine right here, right there, it measures the magnetic field, and it's actually fully on. Every single light is lighting up on that. And let me see if I can show you guys. This shouldn't be on fully. This is a fluctuating light that's, if you see it, that's fully on. That should not be on. I have a touchscreen camera if anybody wanted to know. Yes, this is the right one. That's fully on. What I'm going to do is get up for a moment, and I want to see if I move that, how will the light shift? Chloe, I definitely got your email, Dolly. I was actually going to address it to you tonight or privately. I'm going to get over here quickly and check out this. Let's see. Oh, yeah, big time. We got a lot of energy here tonight. Let's shut it off for a moment. It's just going full spectrum. It's never on this high, so I'm kind of like, okay. The REM pod was going off insanely last night, so that is fully on full spectrum. So for whatever reason, I'm just going to leave it alone because there's a reason why it's picking it up. No one's late. I don't know. I will look at that one. I will go back and look for that one. I've been extremely busy today. I'm actually still in my work clothes. I'm still in my scrubs, if you've noticed the pants that I'm wearing. I'm really kind of shocked that that piece of equipment right there, that takes a lot of energy to light up from spectrum to spectrum, side to side. And that doesn't light up like that unless there's an energy field that is right on top of it. Hi, Pink Butterfly. As I've stated, we're going to be going the reports, pick up and see if anything that Sebastian can verify from this, or pick up on something that could trigger him in the trigger him as in to help him figure out what else the reports might have said and that is not being stated here. Cold. We have a cold spot. Warm, cold. Now we all know heat is supposed to rise and coolness is supposed to stay here. Okay, let's get into these reports. Now, I definitely really have some questions here tonight. One, Miss Lindsay says she loves you, Sebastian. They all love you. If you guys want to place your questions now in the chat, do so, because I'd like to hop right into the questions as soon as we're done with the reports from the filings. I would like to make sure that we get a lot of questions done by at least no later than midnight. I want to hop right in. Can you ask Sebastian, have they still got the dogs that were barking during the interview, or did they get rid of them? Keep them coming. Keep the questions coming. I do have definitely some pause when it comes to these reports, because as I've stated, as Sebastian stated, they all knew, right? They all knew this, but nobody thought that the 2 reports of imminent removal were suffice enough to get him out of that house because he needed protection. Why do I feel like my camera's off tonight? I don't know. It feels different tonight. That, I wonder if it's also the energy in my specific space where I have that. Here we go with the camera. Let me see. Asking for is any. It looks like a light fog towards the table to you. Yeah. Sometimes it gets weird in here, but it's not like sure. Some spirits can't tell you where they are, especially when they're stuck in the in-between. They can give you information. They can give you like a mapping system. They can give you their last memory. They can give you what they understand and how to explain it. You have to remember, look at Savannah Snow, Spurlock. She knew exactly where she was, but it was up to people to figure that out. She could tell you she was by a tool shed. There was a man-made stream. She talked about the flowers. She talked about being buried with black garbage bags, duct tape, a rug. She told us exactly where she was. But it's also not the easiest to figure out for them if their last memory is, remember, she didn't know who David Sparks was. She was buried on David Sparks' family's property. Think about that. I think in that flashlight video, it was foggy. Yeah, could be. And you have to remember, just because he's passed on, that doesn't mean when you have a shocking type feel, or say the way some okay, look at the elderly. Some of them don't even know they've crossed over. I was just in a closed down nursing home, in the dementia ward, in the walking through it, picking up energy. And when I tell you, holy cow, that place was so haunted that I had a spirit pass right through me. And it was the most saddest thing ever. I felt such demise for them, the abuse that they went through from the aides that worked there, and the loneliness and the left out feeling that is ingrained in that property. And it's those kinds of hauntings and residual energies and things like that. That's what they remember. So you have to remember, Sebastian remembers what he remembers, but he's also very interactive with people. He might not understand some things, but he understands from his level. And spirit, there are a lot of spirits that can tell you. There are cases where children that have reincarnated into this lifetime have solved their own murders from the past prior life. Go look it up. There's actually several of them. And sometimes the memories, they come and go, or in spirit, if they haven't crossed over fully. Why do you think Savannah was able to give us so much information? Because it was easier for her. And for her, she didn't want to cross over. It was a choice for her. She was, number one, she was afraid to. And number two, she wanted to be found so her boys could have peace, so she could have peace. We I love those types of, videos where they say, this is what happens after death. Nobody knows what happens after death. I can give you the experiences that I know of. I know of experiences that I've seen occur, or spirit has actually told me themselves. We really don't know what happens after you die. I know there's a choice in most cases. I know that there is, by the way, what happened to me, I know from my experience specifically that what I experienced was something beautiful, was something peaceful and calm and warm and loving. And that's what I experienced. Yeah, Chloe, puzzle pieces just have to be put together. And like I tell in everybody's cases, 9 out of 10, these cases have already been solved. It's how we have to place the pieces together. Usually the most information you will get for the case is usually in the beginning of the case, to where they give you information. But it's when you have instances like this where you have a lot of help on the back end of it, and you have law enforcement, you have CPS. This case is so wrong. This is such a shitty case. This boy has been trying to get someone to just listen to him. And now look where we're at. Even in his time, you have all these people putting tips in. All these people to put tips in to an empty phone line that no longer has anybody picking up tips, to someone who doesn't work there anymore. You have a sheriff that says, what? Snuggle struggle is just another word for rape, or vice versa. This is the mentality we are working with. So you have to remember, everything that we are putting in, the time and the effort, we are working against the clock. We are working against those people that thought it would be okay to do Sebastian the way they did. We are working as a group, and we have to continue to work as a group, because no one is going to help Sebastian but us. And the fact that these lawsuits are going through now, this really steps up the game, because now people are going to be forced to put the truth out there. Because if not, someone's going to jail. Yeah, if someone would have just listened to that boy, he wouldn't have went missing. All they had to do was just listen to him. And the fact that Katie was okay with compromising the abuse, that really fucks me up, because that boy, she must have seen so much done to him. And did she help him? Did he cry when Chris hit him? Did he reach out for you? Did he call your name? Did he ask for your help? And did you stand there and allow it? You should be ashamed of yourself. Ashamed of yourself. I have no respect for you at all. In the beginning, I wanted to think for one moment that you actually cared. But because a lot of people are going to say, well, he got all these therapies and he got all these, you know, but here's the thing about that. This boy was abused so badly that he knew who he could try to talk to. But after it was reported and after he was let down, you have to remember in this manner, at that given point, it was no longer safe for him to tell. So, yep, he was getting all these therapies and he was talking to people, but he had to become silent at that point. So, yep, his behaviors probably went very strange, and he probably became so inside himself that he, no wonder he was having more accidents, and he was having the ability to be fearful of Chris, because he couldn't tell. Now he could no longer tell anybody in therapy. They were doping him up on medication to shut him up, to keep him quiet, to keep him calm. Think about that. You killed your son's mental capacity to trust, to love, to do anything. Then you doped him up on pills. Chris Proudfoot threatening him. Talk about levels of abuse on the highest levels. This is going to get you people prison time, and I cannot wait. This boy, 2 reports of imminent danger, imminent replacement, like, and you close the case. The CPS stated, oh, well, that happened in California. So Chris lied and stated that he never hit Sebastian. You lied to a state official. That in itself needs to be jail time. And I can't wait to get to the jail with the big boys, Chris, because your ass is going to get literally handed to you. Oh, with a criminal investigation like this, with a federal lawsuit, Seth is going to have access to everything. And I hope that he can keep it together, because he's going to hear and he's going to see a lot of reports that state the terror that Chris put this boy through. Chris put this boy through so much terror, so much terror. And it was like he was drilling him like a military sergeant. You don't have your belt on? No, no. Hit him in the stomach. Hit him in his belly, as he put it. And when he stated that on that live, before these reports even came out, I didn't even realize it until I started writing some of the questions that I had for Sebastian. And I just so happened to have the one on my pages flip over, and it was right there. And I couldn't believe what I was looking at. The nurse, where he talked to the nurse, where he talked about Chris hurting his belly daily. And I was stunned, because I didn't remember that myself, because so much stuff gets said in our lives. I didn't even recall that, but it was there. And, when you go back to that live, it was said, and I couldn't believe how I even forgot that part. Brandon Carter. Why are we hearing his name? Seth told truth. I hear Brandon Carter, Seth told truth. Jen, I've heard this name mentioned Miss Lindsay just being here for him and just giving him some hope. And now there is hope because these filings are not the prettiest to hear, but they're also validation for Sebastian because it's been 2.5 years and he's been trying to get someone to listen to him even beyond the grave. And do I like saying that? No. But I know that's all he has to hold on to. Yep. I say that all the time. It's right in that Bible. It is a sin to hurt the innocent. A sin. So we're going to start off with that's strange. I didn't. Okay. Let's start off with. I want to say this. This isn't in the report, so I find this. Yeah, I do the same. And you know what? Some of the stuff that I write so fast because Spirit talks in sometimes in riddles, so you have to place it together and put it together. Just for example, just look how messy. But you see how I circle everything? I find it important to circle because these are the questions sometimes that get repeated. So when I hear slap, choke, hit, those are the types of things that I really, if I don't circle them, I underline them because they are important. They are important to Sebastian. When he speaks about hold on a second, I was just trying to go to where he spoke about him getting hit in the belly and him talking to the nurse, and those were the allegations that came out like 4 days later after our live. That for me, Sebastian was just trying to validate. And when we talked about him being validated, he felt so much better in energy. And that's why I think he was giving Simper's mom advice, which I thought was the sweetest, because he was really trying to help in his own way, which is a beautiful thing. So when we're going to start off with this, because I keep digressing back. When Seth asked for proof of life, he got the Texas Roadhouse video, right, of Sebastian walking out. Now, here's the kicker. They only showed him Sebastian walking out. They didn't show him the hoodie. They didn't show him the hoodie person walking in, walking out. They only showed Sebastian, and that was it. They didn't get any further than that video. Why not? Why didn't they show Seth that? That was my problem. As well as, I don't know about that, Jen. We can ask that question, though. So when he asked for proof of life, he was shown proof of life. But at that time, the district attorney was present when that was being shown. Now, for me, that strikes me as odd because the district attorney doesn't get themselves involved in cases that are not of criminal agenda. So for him to be present during a viewing of wanting to see proof of life of his son, the district attorney was he was there. Now, this is the district attorney Whitley, I believe his name is. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. He is now retired, but There's also some shady dealings on his part. Yeah. You see how everything just connects to everything? It just, I mean, it just doesn't get any crazier than what we're at. And poor Sebastian was around so much insanity and so much pull that now this is all coming out, and these assholes have nothing to say. Now they're quiet. And do you know that the news reached out to the Proudfoots and they declined to answer? They declined to give an interview. Do you know Sumner County declined an interview? Think about that, people. Both of them, both agency and parents, step parent and mother, declined an interview with the media. They've been going on all these podcasts and all these YouTubers, but now when the shit hits the fan, now what? Sebastian was also responsible for keeping adult secrets, which is damage. Yep. The motive here was to get rid of him as quick as possible before he got to go to Seth. I don't think there was ever any intention to give him to Seth. And Katie knew what Chris was capable of way in the beginning. But Katie is just as damaged as Chris Proudfoot is. And in the sense that they helped one another cover this up, there are going to be handcuffs. Didn't I tell you guys there will be handcuffs placed on Katie eventually? And now, mind you, I didn't see Chris Proudfoot with handcuffs on. The only way I think that's going to happen is if Katie turns on him. Okay, did they... Oh, her day's coming. And you know what's going to be more funny is she's going to play the victim and try to put it all on Chris. That's something that is going to be hands down her little game, her little playbook. Hands down going to be her playbook. I don't think that she took just a picture of his t-shirt. I hear you. I always got a vibe that Chris Proudfoot was on that little weirdo type vibe of, you know, on the download to touch kids. That's just me. That's my opinion. I'm alleging nothing that he's a pedophile, but to me, I think he gets down like that. That's my opinion. And my question is, will that be in a CPS report? That's what I want to know. Yeah. Diana says CP allegedly did essay to his sister or, I assume, a family member. I think so too, Blue Eyes. Because a lever is machinery. It's to me, that's using machinery to dig deep. I really do, because I heard that twice. I heard that twice in one live. Now, I want to talk about the CPIT. Now, we already know what that is, but I want to repeat it for a reason, because it points out the connection between the multidisciplinary groups that needed to be for Sumner County. Can we shut that off, Sebastian? You see how when I mentioned multidisciplinary, I don't hope I didn't confuse anything. I know, baby. I'm gonna shut this off, though. Okay. I'm gonna shut it off for now, honey. I'm not. There's other ways that we definitely can communicate. Okay. I'd rather hear your beautiful voice, honey. That kind of made me think too, because why would Chris be mad about him talking about the sexual assault? Kind of confused why that would be. Because in my thought process, I would wonder, okay, why would he be mad about that? He should be able to voice how he feels about that. Just to and it's not like he was assaulted once. It was multiple times. And do you know what that does to a person? Do you know how they have to bury that if he can't talk about it? Gee, I wonder why he's acting out, Chris. I wonder why he couldn't regulate his emotions. And Katie, you of all people, him going to all these counselors, did you once tell the counselors he was being hit all the time? You're just as guilty as Chris. Yeah. Sebastian, what I meant, sweetheart, was in the report it states that all these people, these groups, like Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the let's see, the District Attorney's Office, the let's see, I wrote some of this stuff down. Child Protective Service Team. All these people were in a group to work together, and they shared information. So one could not say that the other team didn't get the information about what was going on, because they all knew. So no one can say, No one told us about this, and no one, because they all knew, they all have to take fault in this. They all knew exactly what Chris did to you and your mother helping, and no one can say this one has to get the blame taken because I didn't know. I didn't have any knowledge, because everybody knew what was going on in that house and what you went through. Except Dad. I know, sweetheart. I know. He's like, except Dad. Nope. And Sebastian, I will always, 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 always tell you, just like everybody else on here will tell you, nothing, anything that happened to you, sweetheart, no matter what, was not your fault. You did not deserve anything that happened to you. And I'm going to say this to you again. You did not deserve anything that happened to you. I know he did. I know he did. Just keeps, Chris lied, Chris lied, Chris lied. And you know what, Sebastian? With time, there's always the turn of the fates. As I always tell people, karma comes to those. It can be patient, it can take some time, but karma always comes back to the people that hurt one another or hurt someone. And in this case, yes, it took a while, but Dad is doing everything he can now to get your story out there, to get new people on the case, to make sure that you are kept in the media. Yes, we as a group of people are doing that, but if we can get the FBI in this case, then the the wheel, the fate, you name it, is going to turn, and it's going to keep turning until you are found. Because nothing will be able to stop the FBI from getting the right answers for you. TBI and Sumner County Sheriff, they aren't doing anything to help your case, honey. But your dad is. Your dad is taking the right steps, the right measures to help you. So, and we all are too. Anything that we can get out there for you, you let us know what wasn't in those reports, Sebastian. You don't have to be afraid here. You can tell us exactly what you weren't able to tell because you were fear. You tell us what else is in those CPS reports, and we will say them here. We don't have to worry about that here. We can repeat it for you. I know he hurt you, sweetheart. I know. Your leg. That's about the leg. And um um you have the most beautiful soul and the most beautiful smile, Sebastian. I always tell everybody how special you are, and they know it too. And they know you're here. They know you're really here. And they believe you. And that's the best part. Here you are believed. Here your story is valid. Chris punch. Chris punch. I know he did, sweetie. We just gonna write. I want to write this down on fresh paper for you because you are safe here, and anything that you wanted to tell somebody or you did say in the new report and they just haven't released it yet, you can tell me anything. Chris punch, Chris hit, yeah. He left you behind. Timestamp. Timestamp that. So, honey, when you say that, right here, what do you mean? You know, this pisses me off. I remember Sebastian's dad saying he did not wear. I'll just say, and Sebastian, when I say pull-ups or diapers, don't take offense to it, sweetheart, because that tells me that you were so afraid of Chris that you were so afraid that you would lose your, how can I say this? You were so scared that you were just so afraid that he made you lose control. And when you were dead, you didn't feel that way at all. And you didn't wear pull-ups there. So think about that. Chris Proudfoot scared him so bad and did things that he actually would defecate on himself. He would urinate on himself. Is it okay to say this, sweetheart? Okay. For whatever reason, he never allowed me to say the other thing in our last live. Yes. Yep. And exactly. Sebastian, and it was okay that you were losing control because you were afraid. That's a normal response, sweetheart. That's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be ashamed of. There are people that get so scared sometimes that they pee on themselves, or they lose control that way. And that's just people that might see something scary or hear something scary. But in your case, you were going through something that was so terrible that you lost control because you were afraid. And that's nothing to be ashamed about. Chris lied. Mom knew he hurt me. He said, Chris punch, hit, left behind. I couldn't breathe. I was scared. Chris hated me. Once urinated on himself. That I wrote it in that manner because I didn't want him to feel, I didn't want to reuse a trigger word that Chris would say to him. So I reworded it. He said, diaper he made me wear. Chris lied. Mom knew he hurt me. Sebastian, does he hurt Faith? Yeah, let me write this down. Well, I think it's strange that, huh, what a bitch. He said one time he must have spanked her in a way. I'm not sure how It could just be on her butt. When I don't know how old she is now, but occurred when this happened. And then he speaks about Katie said now is not the time. Kind of like with everything that's going on in the news with Sebastian, we don't need this on our hands too, if that makes sense. Sebastian, does Faith have a camera in her room now? What do you mean? He said she did until I left. So they put a camera in her room because why? He said because they were afraid of me. Why were they afraid of you? I know you would never hurt her, sweetie. That's not, I would never even ask you that question. Because Chris thought he was going to hurt her. So Chris thought it would be okay to put her on camera in her room and camera in because he was thinking Sebastian would be around her, in so many words. He said I would never hurt her. I figured that, Sebastian. That's why I'm not going to ask that question, honey. Now, can I ask you about some of these things, honey, that I wrote down? I would like to get your input and see what we can get from these reports. And maybe you can tell me what's true and what's not, okay? I have a hair in my mouth because Chase decided to lick my chin and my face, and he got his hair on me, and I can't figure out where it is. The CPS reports, sweetheart, that you told them that you felt safe with Dad and you were safe at Dad's house. Was that true, Sebastian? Okay. I know, and Dad meant well, honey. He said, I hoped he'd bring me home. And when you told that lady that you felt safe with Dad, you told Laura. Oh, wait, Laura. Isn't that, or was it Lori or Laura? Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Do you remember in the last live we did where Sebastian said Lorelai? Maybe he wasn't saying Lorelai. He was saying Laura lied. And that's Laura Boswell. She was a interviewer with Sebastian. You remember that? I'm just seeing her name because I wanted to know what her name was in the report. So in my mind, I'm thinking maybe he was saying Laura lied. I bet you Laura, in some way, because why would they close the case if he was in imminent danger? Why would they close the case? If he felt safe with Dad, why didn't she take it into the consideration and get him out of that house and let him go with his father where he felt safe? Lorelai. Let me just go back to that live. I have it all written down. Oh, and you know what? He was saying some really terrible things to Sebastian because there's something that he said to Sebastian. Sebastian told me, and I didn't want to say it on here because it was really bad. About keep your little in your pants around my daughter. This is what he told Sebastian. Okay, give me 1 minute because I know he said that because I remember it, and so do you guys, right? You remember him saying Lorelai? Oh, I would never think that he would ever hurt that girl. He talked about her. He talked about how that was his sister. She was probably the only one that ever treated him with humanity. And I know he said it because you guys remember it, so I know he said it. And here is the belly Chris hurt daily. And talks about the lever. Talks about the nurse. Chris wanting him dead. Took my life away, stole my shoes, barefoot. Walk mom. Well, I wonder. You remember, right, Teresa? Lorelai. I'm thinking it was like maybe like a song but it could have been a name. We knew that, but Lorelai. I was thinking Lorelai was a whole name. See where sometimes the details just have to come, and sometimes they come in patches and little pieces. Lorelai. So, okay, sweetie. Let me get back to our questions. That makes sense. Okay, sweetie. Sebastian, you were bitten in the face by a dog and you got 7 stitches before? You are brave. He said, I was brave. But that should tell you. Yes, it gets confusing sometimes, but he definitely said, yeah, Veronica, I definitely, and like I said, sometimes it comes out in riddles, but we just have to figure out what the riddle is, you know? Yes, we can ask. And Sebastian, can I ask, honey, can I ask about California? Is it okay to? We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to. Okay, I just wanted your permission first. Sweetie, when the reports say that someone hurt you in a really bad way, and they did that a lot to you, they hurt you multiple times. Yeah, that's really, really, really bad. It's really mean, honey. No, I know you weren't. He said Chris called me gay boy. Chris thought I would hurt Faith. Sweetie, did anybody that ever lived with you in your house, did anyone that ever lived with you ever hurt you in that way? So how come I get the feeling why do I feel that but you're saying no? Is it is it something that you remember as a child? Is that what I'm getting? Do you guys remember yeah, he's such a piece of shit. Chris Proudfoot is. He really is. He is the definition of a sleazeball. Like, you can't get any scummier than that man. Okay. I'm just trying to keep connection, guys, so I will do my best to peek over. Um, Sebastian, when you told your teacher, sweetheart, what happened in California, why were you afraid to? Why were you afraid that if Chris found out that you told your teacher? Why were you afraid? Why were you afraid of telling the teacher, and why would Chris be mad at that about why would he be mad about you telling your teacher about the abuse? He said Chris has been it's like he's saying Chris has been knowing it happened, but he wouldn't help me. I bet you yeah. Yeah, we'll get to those questions, Veronica, okay? Sebastian, when they stated that you were in imminent danger for removal because you needed protection, why did they not take you out of the home? Mom, what? It's kind of like saying, Mom stuck up for Chris. Mom stuck up for Chris. Kind of made Sebastian look like he was not just a liar, but kind of like he had mental issues. You can't believe him. So she not only made him look in a certain light, but she knew he was being abused by Chris, and she covered it up for Chris. That makes you a moral monster, Katie. You were the giver of his life. You gave him life. You failed to protect him so you could live your comfortable little life out with Chris Proudfoot. They stated that one case was closed because the abuse happened in California. It didn't happen here. The fact that Katie took up for Chris over and over and over and over and over again. I don't want to hear that she was afraid of Chris Proudfoot because she could have took her son and she could have left with him. And that was it. Katie tells DCS that California already investigated us. It's over. She talked about how Sebastian had severe ADHD. So you tried to do that, should have been a key element right there. Make Sebastian out to be some hyperactive, overbearing child. Try to make him look like he's the bad person. He's this, he's that. He goes through all these treatments. He goes through neuro treatment. He has chromosome deletion. He has behavioral problems. And all the while that Katie did this, you destroyed your son piece by piece by piece by piece by everything you did. Chris lies to DCS and says he's never hit Sebastian. That in itself is an assault, because when you lie and it's proven by your own volition, you can't take this back, dumbass, because it's on multiple platforms. Everyone shared it, how you hit Sebastian. Katie goes on, Nancy Grace fucks up and says, oh, it was several years ago. No, he just said it was when he was 15. So you both can't get your story straight. Here's something. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. This right here, to me, seals the fucking deal. Okay? The nurse complaint is conflicting stories because the statement not only talks about, I want to go to that because the discrepancy in the message that she left to cancel the appointment was sent the 23rd, right? Think about this. Because of his disappearance. Discussing the events of his disappearance, which makes no sense because he was supposedly went missing on the 26th. So, until this day, those discrepancies have not been brought up. Think about that. Right. So, but here's the thing. The nurse sent in a tip stating that the discrepancies have never been challenged about the message that she actually left. Your son was reported missing the 26th. You canceled it to 23rd, and you're talking about discussing the events of the disappearance. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. You're awesome. That has never been challenged. So, with that one discrepancy of a certified nurse, a trusted person of the state, if that is not a fucking problem, this was, like the lawyer said, dead on arrival. They knew this was premeditated. They knew this was going to happen to Sebastian. They were going to eliminate him from anything further because they knew if this would get out, he could not get faith. And he knew that anything that happened prior to, I think something really bad happened to Sebastian other than the physical abuse in that house. And I think Chris Proudfoot, because Sebastian shows me, and I'm going to say this because I'm so pissed off, and please do not take this as I have anything against big people, because I don't. I'm not a skinny person myself, first of all. He shows me a vision, he doesn't show me the head, of a fatter man with a bigger stomach who looks like fat ass Chris Proudfoot, Krispy Kreme. And I'm going to say that because at this point, I've passed all levels of pissed. And he's taking off his belt where his jeans are. He doesn't have a shirt on. In my mind, I get this feeling, this horrible, fucked up feeling that he was doing something to Sebastian physically. And I don't mean child physical hitting him. I mean something else. Allegedly, in my opinion. I see this, Sebastian shows me, but he won't tell me. He won't tell me, so I feel it. And that, for me, that messes with me because I honestly feel that he was doing something to him. So, for me, I think if Sebastian told his dad that, he knew he was going to jail. He knew he was going to pay the price for what he was doing to Sebastian, not just physically, but sexually. Like I said, please forgive me on the way I described something, but at this point, I don't care. At this point, I don't care. The neighbors stated that Chris hated Sebastian and he wanted him dead. That is the third validation because Sebastian said that in the live that came out that we did prior to any of these reports that were filed. That's the third validation. Sebastian was regularly going to his appointments, and the nurse felt that it was highly suspicious. And then to hear the message that was never challenged of her talking about his disappearance before his disappearance. There was also a complaint alleged on May 11th, 2023, that no services were needed. The complaint also alleges that Seth was never interviewed, Seth was never notified, Seth was never offered placement despite joint custody. Sebastian has shown me that before, but he's never been able to tell me. And that's the hard part about it. It's like he shows me, but he won't say it. And to me, that is, he feels shame, and he should never feel shame because he's done nothing wrong. He's done nothing wrong. I feel so sorry for that baby. Chris admits on how many podcasts or how many YouTube channels that he hit Sebastian. Katie minimizes everything that Chris Proudfoot has done to that boy. Chris had this boy so afraid that he received neurology care, mental help 3 times a week. Can you imagine what that doctor or that nurse knows and has not been able to say? Even though they are mandated reporters, can you imagine what Sebastian probably told them not to tell? Sebastian, honey, if I am forgetting anything, you please step in, sweetheart, and you tell me what I am not saying, okay? I want you to make your claim here. I want you to stake your claim here. I don't want you to feel that you have to wait for me. You could talk over me. It's fine. Even though that's not what you were taught, you do that here because you are in charge. You are the one to speak for yourself here. You have that ability here, okay? For all these joint groups in the CPIT, the Child Protective Investigative Team. Sumner County cannot claim that they did not know. The district attorney cannot say they didn't know. Child protectives cannot say they didn't know. Every single group of people knew what happened and what was going on with Sebastian. And yet, Craddock goes on live TV for the first interview and says, there is no evidence that there was foul play. And here you can say there's an actual motive to what happened to Sebastian Rogers. The motive is everything in this case. This was premeditated, calculating murder of what they did to that boy. There is proof of him walking in, but not exiting the house. Think about that. Chris Carr. And Chris Carr, I got beef with you because I know you helped in this case in some way or some other fashion. You helped. And you're going to go down for this too. Because don't think when the dominoes fall, you're not going to fall within the fucking dominoes. Brandon. Sebastian is, I love this baby. What about Brandon, sweetie? Tell me about Brandon. He won't listen. Sebastian, I'm going to ask you some questions about all of the people in this case and what their immediate connection is with Chris and your mom, okay? I do have a few other questions, so for you quickly before we move on to, because we're going to have some questions for you, sweetheart, from the people here, okay? Chris has made sure to go to every woman that had a child that he could take advantage of. He is a calculating predator. He knew what he was doing when he went with Katie. He knew exactly, as soon as he saw Sebastian, what the motive would be and how he would take control over Sebastian. He knew the things that he was going to do to Sebastian way ahead of time because he saw Sebastian as, vulnerable. He knew. Katie fell for it. And you know what mirrors these two the best way that we can explain it is Katie put on this fake smile for Sebastian, and she did that for Chris Proudfoot in the beginning, and he did it for her. And come to find out, they were monsters just alike. And you know what hurts the most is Sebastian is so full of love. So full of love. And at some point, he knew that he could no longer look past Mommy's smile and see that she actually cared about what happened to him. And to know that he probably cried out for her help, or to hear him while he was being hit. Katie, what did you do when you heard your son cry out? What did you do? Did he cry for you? That's what I want to know. How can you live with yourself? How could you live with yourself? I think she hurt him too. Seeing her with him at Texas Roadhouse showed me the way she pushed him. How many of you saw that video once I told you to go look at it, pay attention to it? The way she threw the menu at him like he was nothing, the way she pushed him out of the way. Yeah. I'm going to get asking some of your questions now, everybody. I think in the end, Chris, do you honestly think Chris is going to want to go down for his wife? See, he's a cunning predator to children, and he will turn on Katie, because once that shuts off, when he realizes, oh shit, I'm going to go to prison, Katie's going to be the fall guy. There's only so much in this case that you can stomach, and that you could actually say, oh, someone had to have listened to him. I feel like the only one that truly listened to him was his teacher. And I do think that the nurse had a knowing of what was going on, because she felt something immediately was suspicious about this whole thing immediately. And the fact that they didn't take into consideration that a nurse would step out of character and risk her job, her career, because if they really wanted to try to prove that she, who knows what they would have tried to done to her career. But for her career to get her degree, her nursing degree, depending on if it's a psych eval nurse job, that takes much longer to get than it does a regular nursing certification. She's risking her career by just putting a statement out there, which she is a mandated reporter. Anybody in the healthcare field, the teacher, anybody could be a mandated reporter. But in her capacity, she risked something of herself, because without proof, she made an awful big claim. and for it to not be looked at and not taken seriously. The FBI is going to get a hold of that, and they're going to go one by one. Be ready for the interviews, people, because the FBI, they don't fuck around when it comes to missing kids. And you know what? What goes around comes around. All right, I'm going to start asking some of these questions that you guys had me write down. So, you guys, to the ones that in the beginning, I did write down several. You're going to see a row of dominoes hit. A row of dominoes. And you had some asshole go under my video and say, laugh out loud, good luck, Seth. So, again, you know they're there. You know they're watching. You know that somewhere in some way these morons think to abuse a child that badly is okay. I left a comment up there. I made sure that I don't know if I'm being redirected to who the person was. I heard the name Sassy, but that could just been someone that went under that comment and kind of like, well, what's so funny about that? Nah, you can't plead insanity. You knew what you were doing. This is premeditated completely. Well, we know how he's involved. We've already answered that. Diana, we knew because Sebastian stated he was paid off. We already know that. But my question is, I want to know more of the link. I want to know more of the link between the Proudfoot family and Craddock. I love that, Kylie. Your corrupt cookie is starting to crumble now, Shane Foots. I love that. I love that. Sassy is a mod on Mob Crew channel. Sassy, I got the word Sassy, Blue, and Chris. So I'm assuming that Well, if that's the case, the FBI is going to know that because the the sale of your home, the purchase sale, it documents everything. What realtor, what all of that. So if that comes up, that's going to be a deep question that Mr. Snuggle Struggle is going to have to answer for. Just like Snuggle Struggle, period, where that came from, he's going to have to answer for, and how he's even got a law enforcement. You know, how did he get to that point? Did you guys see the judge that was just tried and got 20 years for abusing 19 girls in trafficking? Think about that. The South has a lot of corruption, and I hate to say that because not everybody is like that. Not everybody. Not every law enforcement is like that. And I think I wrote that one down. I definitely have to say there's a lot of corruption in the the southern states. And it's got a lot to do with pedophilia, with covering up. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to start answering some of these questions for you guys. Now, I know Billy came up in our live before, but we're just hearing Billy again. Okay. Hi, Miss Nick. Okay, let's ask this first question. Hey, Sebastian, honey, I need to know if there's any questions you could answer for me tonight. Now, these are from the people that help me come on these lives. Okay. Well, there is someone that there's that Trevor name again. I'm gonna. Oh, thank you, sweetie. I'm going to ask a few questions, Sebastian, and if you could answer these for me in a way that can give me some direct connection in some way, that would be so helpful, sweetheart, okay? So I know that you said Craddock got a big envelope before, right? A big yellow envelope, and it had a lot of money in it, okay? How is he connected besides the money? Chris knew him before? Okay. Where do they know each other from? School? School. Can anybody validate that? Can anybody validate where Chris and Craddock went to school? You know what, though? I have to go back and look because there is a person that I picked up on and I found, actually. Someone sent it to me. This guy's in the military and he is a woodmaker. He does a lot of woodwork. He can carve anything. They went to the same school, so they would know each other, right? So, Sebastian, they went to the same school. Okay. And how do they know each other besides school? You talking about your mom or their moms? Chris' mom. Oh, okay. So, Sebastian says they knew each other from school, but they also, their mothers knew each other. So there's that kind of like that relationship. Yes. So it's that early on, I know you, you know me, whatever. So it's not just about being paid off. They knew each other prior to in their younger years. Their moms knew each other. There's that key right there. See, sometimes it's just you have to ask in a different way. Sebastian, did you play any games at the bowling alley that day, or did you just leave? What does he mean by lanes closed? Oh, so he didn't get to he. Oh, so he never got to play. He just. Is that what he's meaning? He's saying the lanes closed. Oh, okay, because he's okay. See, lanes closed. That gave me that made me understand that he wasn't able to play. There you go. Okay, there's that answer. Okay. Okay. And if you guys are sending me anything through Messenger, I can't answer it. I can't look at it because my phone is on the other live stream. Okay, guys. If you guys do send me anything on Messenger, I will look into it when we're done with our live. So, or you guys have my email. We can look at things like that as well. My camera is like going a little weird over there. Well, he says lanes were closed, so I don't know what they played, unless they played video games. So he says the lanes were closed. And that's what I go by, so it is what it is. Did they? Veronica says, did they not play any game? Sebastian, did you play any video games? Because you didn't get the bowl. So did you get to play any video games? Are you saying Chris is mom or Chris in mom? Okay. It's almost like he's saying, I wanted to try. It's like, I wanted to try. I wanted to try. Oh, nope, no video games. Okay, that makes sense. I wanted to try. See, I'm not looking at your answers back to the questions. I'm listening to him when he tells me. And he said, I wanted to try. So he must have been told no. Which I think is strange. If you're going to take him out for the day, you took him to this place. You didn't let him play bowling because obviously the lanes were closed. You told him about video games. But you made sure you were on camera with him the whole way through. Yeah, he only stopped there. Good point, Diana. Only stopped there for an appearance, basically. More or less, I guess that's what you could say because that's really more or less what he's kind of making me vibing with. Okay. Sebastian, did they get rid of all of the puppies? Did they get rid of all the dogs that you loved so much? Are they gone or do they still have them? Okay, let me ask you in a shorter way. The puppies that you loved so much, did they get rid of those puppies? Are those puppies gone? He's talking about like the number one. like almost like they only have one dog now. Does that make sense? Hold on, I gotta see what your messages are here. They have footage from there right now. Maybe you played on them, but not with money. What happened to his puppies? They got Faith the dog. Ah, that's the one dog. Maybe that's what he's talking about. He's making it sound like they only have one dog. Yes. Okay. Sebastian, what is the connection to Chris and Bobby? Okay, so Bobby is the in charge. Okay. Sumner County. Okay, thank you. You're quicker than I was tonight, sweetheart. He's talking about Bobby in Sumner County. To me, this would be okay. I'm probably going to say it wrong, but it's almost like a Bobby Sims or like a Bobby something with an S. Yeah. He's talking about, I wanted to know what the connection was to the Proudfoots, like Chris, and he names him. And this is Sumner County. He's giving me like a connection to this person, and he's through Sumner County. So that means he would work through Sumner County. He's like a law enforcement, or so he's got to be friends with this person or related in some way. I'm going to say friends for now because I didn't get he was related yet. TBI. Okay. And I know we've heard that before, but I can never remember what he's through or what he's related to or any of that other jazz or nonsense. What information, Sebastian, do you know that no one else knows? Something that is eventually going to be found out, and we can say, we'll come back to this video and it was on here. Sebastian told us on here. Is there something that the public doesn't know, only you know? Not me, not anybody else, just you. Is there anything that only you know that nobody else knows? What do you mean, sweetie? I got this, and this. But after that I didn't hear you correctly. I know you tried to say something, but sometimes when you try to say big words, like the words will fade out into my energy, and I have a hard time. So can you just repeat that one last part? Can you tell me what you mean here though? Chris went back to blank, but lost me. You probably did. You're always going to see an orb in the background somewhere here. They're very Sebastian, what can you tell me in this case that Nobody knows. Nobody on YouTube, on the news. Only you and Chris would know, or you and Mom would know. Nobody else. It has never been said. Can you give me something that we can say on here that people can say Sebastian already said that? Sebastian was right. Can you tell me what you mean by that? Timestamp. Why? You guys, I'm sure you guys hear these noises in the back. It usually comes with like orb activity and stuff like that. So, um, yes, I will ask you. I will ask for you, honey. And I will ask somebody's specific name as well. So, because you might all have different locations. So I will make sure to ask if, um, yeah. Just waiting to see if I see something in the background. Okay, sweetie. I okay. Um, are Katie and Chris actually like married? And I'm asking because um, Sebastian speaks about his ring. His orbs usually are they usually are like by my head area, and they kind of like either come the camera it it does an angle that I'm not actually trying to do it on. It usually comes to my head and then goes this way, or it goes that way. So it'll usually come up and then go down. Sorry, guys, but it'll just go the opposite way of my where my head is. Um, yeah, it's been a busy night with that. For whatever reason, I'm getting itchy. If you guys can see, itchy. Right. Okay. Um, I'm asking if they were truly married because Sebastian talks about a ring. Ah, there it is. Okay. So, no, I asked because Sebastian talks about Chris's ring. And I think what he's trying to tell me, I want to just hold off a second just to make sure I'm understanding what he's trying to tell me about the ring. Sebastian, when you talked about Chris's ring, what did you mean? Okay. I think this is why he's telling me this, because I stated I want to know something that only Katie, Chris, and Sebastian know. And it's definitely something that I it's definitely something that I'm gonna say here regardless, but I just don't like to say what I'm gonna say. Um, he's speaking about Chris Proudfoot's ring. He chose not to wear his ring. I said, "Well, what do you mean, sweetie? I can't take it anymore." He's telling me, it's like he's giving me the psychic impression of past tense. He's saying, Chris Proudfoot saying, "I can't take it anymore. I'm going to kill this kid." And it's like he throws his ring. Katie says, you can't hit him all the time. You're leaving marks." So she knew what was happening. He gave her an ultimatum and clearly chose him, because she states, Sebastian says, she states, "Katie, you can't, you're leaving marks." And to me, that would be almost like a statement that would be admitting. So to me, this might be something that eventually is going to come out in a statement, because he's showing me like taking off the ring. I can't take it anymore. It's like kind of like him or me. I'm going to end up killing this kid. Katie says, "Well, you can't hit him all the time. You're leaving marks. So, only hit him sometimes." I guess that makes it any better. Most likely. Most likely. And Katie, I gotta ask you, honey. I gotta ask you, because in my mind, you play a game, because clearly your cameras weren't working that night, and to report this, to say, I don't know why he walked out that door. He's never left before. How can you say he left if your cameras weren't working? I'm really mind boggled about the discrepancy. The nurse had serious suspicions about the references to February 23rd while discussing the events of his disappearance. And the complaints were that The discrepancies were never solved. How does that not come into play as premeditated murder? How does that come? Okay, scratch the murder, because in their ability to play that little mind game, he walked out on his own. Okay, whatever, Katie, whatever, Chris, you're full of shit. But okay, how can you sit there and say he walked out on his own? The cameras never worked that night. Remember, you can't give a definitive answer. But how can you get past that? How can you get past the nurse stating the discrepancies have never been challenged? Was it ever confirmed true about the lady that said she was on a date with him and had told her his wife and son died in a car accident? Well, let's find out. You guys know I don't hold back from any questions that you guys want to ask, as long as, it's not so, you guys have always been professional, and you guys have always been kind and the way you ask, the way you want to ask questions. I don't worry about that. I just want to make sure any questions we do ask are always in the best interest of Sebastian, which you guys are. Oh, I guess. Who asked that question? Blue Eyes, I'm being told that Chris lied, said we died is true. He did say that from what Sebastian says. And if he's going to deny it, where would that be? Life with Javat, I'm going to ask him in a manner. I want him to point out any of your names to see who is the closest, who has been the closest. Sebastian, there's a lot of people on here that are trying to figure out where you are, honey. And we're trying to figure out who would be the closest to you in your location. Okay, I understand. I understand that. These people on here want to know if they're ever been close to your location. There are people that do look for you, sweetie, on here, or trying to look for you. Can you do me a favor and tell me if anybody on here has been close to your location? Life would, I'm going to say, Javada, where have you, if any, have looked? And if you don't want to say it on here, please don't. You know, the assholes always watch our stuff, or have their little spy friends on here too. He says Chris is close to him, whatever that means. That's who he first said, Chris. When I asked that question for her, that was the first thing he said. Okay. So, Sebastian, our friend here says she's in Texas, so she can't look. But She thinks you're in a field somewhere under a lot of brush, maybe. Would that be accurate or true? Hmm. I did not get an answer. When I did ask the question, he stated Chris immediately, though. Immediately. Okay, so when we say Chris, right? When we say Chris, do you mean Chris Proudfoot or Chris Carr? Okay, Chris Proudfoot. Sweetie, are you near, or can you tell me if you're near what you see around you? Do you see any trees? Any water? Okay. Do you see any signs around that? What did you mean that, honey? What do you mean by that? And before anybody tries to pop on here and say, oh, he probably drowned in a ravine, Sebastian could swim like a fish, according to both of his parents, his mother and his father. Sebastian learned how to swim before he learned how to walk. So that boy did not drown in water. Sebastian, where you are, honey. All right. I know every time I ask him, he says Chris. Every time I ask him where you are, he says Chris. He says Chris. Does Chris have you somewhere close to him? Just. Sebastian, let me ask you this, honey. So your spirit, I'm sure you understand by now, is not on the physical plane anymore. But your spirit is living on. Your body is on the physical plane somewhere. I know, Chris. I get it. I hear you. Do you know where your physical body is? Chris took it. Chris took it. Okay, but can you give me like a picture of where Chris took it? Timestamp. Life with Java. That's what I'm wondering because did you guys hear that? Like a thud? Sebastian. Sebastian, where is Chris now? Where is Chris Proudfoot now? Do they still live at home in the house? Sebastian, Veronica wants to know if you can do her a favor. You don't have to if you don't want to, honey. So, where is Chris Proudfoot living right now with your mom? Not there, not there. So they're not at their house? I don't know. He's saying not there. Something about camper. Do they travel a lot? Is that what you mean? Sebastian, Veronica would like you to do something for her so she understands if she can understand you, okay? Veronica, ask a question and we'll see if we can get an answer. But we're only going to do this one time because I don't want Sebastian feeling like, you know what I mean? Sebastian, does mom know where you are? Tap once for yes, twice for no. Sebastian, does Chris know where you are? Tap once for yes, twice for no. Would you rather just keep talking? I'm going to close this window. All right, sweet pea, I'm going to shut this off, okay? I know that you. I think he likes the lights. I think he likes the lights in it. I think Sebastian loves the lights to it. Sebastian likes the lights. I think they make the REM pod light up. Because if you notice, it's always going to green, 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 then blue, then red, then back to green, 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 green. He loves the green color. I put it down and just goes. I'm just gonna leave it off. I think he likes it as a toy. To be honest, it's okay. I don't mind. Let's get back to these questions. Yeah, you too. The dog is barking in my house. It's like the dog sees something in there. There's nobody awake in my house right now. And you know what that video reminded me of? It reminded me of Caleb, because Caleb is he tries to make everything a skit, a funny thing. And one day I'm sitting in the recliner in the living room, and he definitely had me laughing so hard because he sticks his arm out in the doorway with a box of cereal. He goes, "Look, Mom." And it was like around Halloween, and he had his toy like knife with his costume. He was supposed to be like Jason or something. I don't know. I couldn't remember, but he goes, "Look, Mom, a serial killer." And I mean, it was funny in the moment, but he was laughing so hard. So hard. I was laughing so hard. Sebastian Pink Butterfly says, "I wish I could have known you, held you, and helped you." We all feel that way about Sebastian. He's a good soul. I definitely want to get more questions in here tonight. It was very funny. Chris blamed me for everything. Sebastian, nothing was your fault. Chris didn't know how to be the man he should have been. Chris never understood what it was like to have compassion in his heart for somebody else, for someone else's child. Chris was never somebody that was ever going to be a person of love, of character. He's just an overzealous, wannabe, power hungry man whore. Honestly, that's how he is. He's an attention seeking whore, and that's all he'll ever be, sweetie. He'll never amount to anything that you were. You are far greater a spirit, a person than he'll ever be, or he wishes that he ever could be. Veronica says, Sebastian, my dad was the same way. A lot of people, honey. Yeah, he said, and you survived? Yeah. A lot of people go through a lot of horrible, horrible things, sweetie. Oh. He said, tell her I'm proud she got away. Sebastian Blue Eyes says, can I ask you to let me know where you might be and if I can come back there where I could find you? I understand that, honey, and that can be frustrating. He says, I've told everybody where I am and nobody can listen. It's he's not mad. It's like, it's kind of like his part can only go so far. You know what I mean? Veronica says, yes, my mom got me away. Thank you, Sebastian. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself right now. Sebastian, are you in the same place you said you were before? Did you hear the tap? Veronica, did you hear the tap? One tap. Sebastian, honey, if you can help us, and if you like them lights, baby, I can get you some different kind of light up things that you might want to have, just without all that loud noise, because I don't want the loudness to bother you. Chris covered it deep. Chris covered it deep. Chris covered it deep. So we know now that he's down in something. He's not Sebastian, you can say whatever you want to say here, honey. I will take the time and I will sit here quietly and I will wait for you to listen. I will listen to you. This is your time. I will not interrupt you. Pull my chair up for a minute, babe. Oh, that was me, guys. That was not anything else. Do you want me to say that? Sebastian, do you remember when we talked about the lever that you spoke about? You spoke about it twice in our last lives. What lever is that? Um, when you say that, what machine, and if it's Chris's machine, if it was Chris's machine, when did he use the machine to hide you? If that makes sense. You said Chris's machine. When you push and pull the lever, what does it do? What does it look like? Tap. You guys have to listen for the taps. You asked for this, so he's doing it. And he just so happens to be doing back there where the machine, where the thing that is that he likes. What is the machine that Chris had? Can you tell me what it looks like? Or can you tell me what the name of it is? Kind of like the thing where you dig dirt. Like it's got like a handle on it. It looks like almost like you're digging in the ground. It's got teeth on it, and you lift up the dirt and you move it. Sebastian Blue Eyes wants to know, was this the machine used in the video in front of your house? No, different one. Different one. Where else did he have access to these things? Sebastian, the one that you're talking about, were you in that before? Were you in that machine before? No? Okay. Only Chris. He's saying no, it was only Chris in that one. The one he's talking about here. Um, is that someplace he's worked before? Talking about lumber, lumber. Has he ever worked at a lumber yard before? Did Chris ever work in a lumber yard before? I mean, I guess, right? Lumber, lumber means wood. This just gets worse and worse. Whack Job's dad has a recycling company. Sebastian, was this piece of equipment used only at the job where Chris worked? Says no, before. He's used it before. Does it belong to Chris's family? No, he's showing me an actual lumber yard, guys. He's showing me like the trees. He's showing me that trees that already broke down. I almost see like mud on the ground, like a brownish color. There's no grass there, but it's like you can hear the machinery, and you can almost see like lumber stacked up. You can hear the like the machine that's like, how a machine has to back up and you hear the beep, not like an actual beep beep, but like a sound like something is reversing, and you can hear the like the movement of the vehicle of the machinery, and you can hear you could just hear all the working going on in the background. Where is that place, honey? Who works there? Okay. No touching the top of my head. I can feel my hair moving. Like someone's doing this to my hair. He said my name. Sweetie, when you say this, you show me this picture, and I can hear all the machines, and I can see Krispy Kreme on it. He's got it like almost like a I want to say like a neon yellow shirt, if it's a long sleeve. He's got a shitty brown hat on. See his belt. So where is this located, honey? Can you tell me like a county or a street or a name of it? The name of the lumber yard itself? I'm quiet. Why did you say my name? Sebastian, I don't worry about him. He ever tries to fuck around and find out, he'll fuck around and find out real quick. Said Chris is trying to find me. Sweetie, I don't worry about someone like Chris Proudfoot. You wanna know why? Because the day he ever steps foot, he'll find out real quick to step into my county line. I don't trust them, honey. People everywhere. Oh, I know. They're on live, they're sitting in the background, they're not saying anything. I'm not dumb. Yeah. I definitely am not afraid of those morons. They'd be barking up the wrong tree with me, Sebastian. I come from a long line of no fuck around, no give a fucks. Excuse my language, I shouldn't be talking like that, sweetie. None, I should not be talking like that to you. I'm so sorry. But I've come to a certain point in this place with you that I'm not just I'm not okay with being okay with it anymore. I'm not okay with the deniability that they have, the cover up, the way they planned this ahead of time, and the only one that's actually doing work are the people on YouTube who love you and your father. He said, my mom will never know what it was like to be me. Never know what it's like to be me. And Sebastian, that is going to be something that she will have to face for the rest of her life. Hmm. Sebastian, can you tell me where this lumber yard is? If you don't know the name of it, that's okay. But can you tell me like the area maybe, or what do you mean? I'm just going to shut this live off. Of course he did. Um, let's see something. I'm just looking up a name quick. See, my phone's not working. That's so weird. Okay. Try this again quickly. Sebastian, I have an idea. If you ever want to use my phone, you have the ability to use it. You can use it to do anything. You know that, right? If you want to put any songs on, or if you want to see what's on my phone, you're more than welcome to. I know it's being very, my phone is doing this. I can't even get on my internet to look up this thing. Google. Okay. Well, that's out. Okay. Is the lumber yard still in use, Sebastian? Every day. Do you know who owns it? See something. Yep. It's not letting me on. I was trying to look something up and I can't because it won't let me. It won't let me. Okay, that's out of the question. I don't know. It's not working at all. Open up new tab. Open up new tab. Google. Black. I can get on my Facebook, no problem. I'm looking right at it. So, any search that I want to do, I can't do it because it's not letting me. Messenger's okay. Let's try regular YouTube. Yeah. It's not working. Okay. He says every day in the word Chris. Now, we'll leave that open until I can get into my look for that. I mean, yeah, I could, but I shouldn't have to do that. My phone was just working. Is there a lumber yard with an M? Put it that way, an M. An M. I'm hoping I can get something before 1 o'clock because I have to shut this live down by 1. Let's see if this works. Milton lumber. Come on. Very well could be. Nope. I just shut my phone off. It's not letting me on. Okay. I wonder if I could open up a tab quickly. My live stream won't go anywhere up. Give me a second. I can try it on my computer. I'm trying not to say it out loud. Give me 1 second. Would it be that? Because I didn't hear. Okay, let's try a different spelling. I don't see anything by that name. Oh, maybe I'm spelling it wrong. Hmm. I'm just let me see. You know what? Let me go back to my notes from the last live we did, because Sebastian left a lot of clues in that one, and he was talking about. Okay, there's the lover. There's the Laura. I do see something in my last live. Doesn't really pertain to the question. Um, I wanted to see Chris something about hiding car, and also Lorelai, but Chris took her away. This isn't, give me 1 second, sorry. Hold on. Let's see. So we asked if Sebastian was on Danny Guy's property. He said no. Shell Bell says levers are widely used in lumber yards. Makes more sense. Okay. Just get to the page. Sebastian, for that lumber yard, can you give me the name? Because I can't find a name that has this in it, unless it's something different in the name. Hmm. Sure do. MTMC 8. Yes. Did you like the monkeys? He's talking about monkeys and animals. Zoo? Have you ever heard of the zoo? He's going to be mentioning Chris's name all night long because that's what he's been doing the last few minutes. Chris, 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 Chris. Hmm. An excavator was used at 3 a.m. Not sure. Sebastian hasn't stated that to me, so I won't be mentioning that unless he says that to me. I'm talking about the Bower Sox. Why? Tap. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's two different ones. Just it's different to me. This was something that was I'm telling you, we're going back to a logging. Chris can pursue anything he wants to pursue as long as he doesn't try to step over here. Sebastian, for the lumber yard, is there an address that you can try to give me? I'm wondering if lumber might be a place instead of a thing like a street. Mm-hmm. I have to look at it. Hold on, I want my soda out of the way here. Sebastian, what number is this, Joe? Because if you're going to say that that's lumber and I pull up with a number, it's in Pennsylvania, as far as I know. Just look again, just to make sure. Pennsylvania. I was just looking for something that came up in a number. Sebastian, I'm going to ask you again, honey. What do you see around you? Around you. Talks about that hole. Besides the hole, honey, do you know what's around that hole? I don't know, Sebastian. I'm not sure yet. I have to look for that. Okay. Sebastian, say you're all the way to the sky, right? If you're all the way to the sky, right, just look down. Where do you see anything around you? What about you? Do you see yourself anywhere there? He talks about a hole, which he's always talked about a hole. There was a talk of Veronica, are you on my Facebook? Actually, what did Chris mean when he told your dad to go to church? There is a lumber supply place around 1000 Lumber Road, Henry, Tennessee. Okay. Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Actually, yes, you did. Okay. I'm going to message you something after. Um, just to see where it goes. He's going to say a lot of that. He's going to say a lot of stuff to get Seth going. You ever hear someone that implements their 2 cents into everything? One, he does that on purpose to keep you guys all second guessing, When his real stupidity just comes out of his mouth and he just spews garbage, that's who he really is. To tell Seth that he needs to go to church, that's just a way of him um, trying to school him in a way. Okay, I have some stuff being looked up about a lumberyard. Oh, let's ask about the Richard Bishop. We didn't ask about him. Sebastian, are you still with me, sweetie? If you are, can you answer something for me? Richard Bishop, do you know who he is? He's not giving me much about him, and he didn't in the beginning either. I'm not sure. Sebastian, are you just tired? I know I am. Maybe that's why it seems so quiet and still now. Maybe because my ability is slowing down a little bit. I'm tired. No? Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't me. Yeah, see, that's Veronica, that's what I was thinking. Like, why there? What would he have to do with that place? Who would he know? definitely have to look more into it. No, this would have been something he dug. Let's see. Yeah, that bothers me, that one. I don't wanna... Yeah. I also have... I just sent you something else. Close this. I think we're pooped for tonight. For the CPS reports, Sebastian told us some things tonight that weren't the same, that were different. Be on the lookout for any new reports that come out. Remember this live to make sure if there's anything he said tonight that will be in there. You got it? And the word Mississippi. I'm not sure what that has to do with Sebastian, Mississippi. Or if anything at all. It's just I heard Mississippi just now. Okay. Okay. How many of you are familiar with Nolan Wells case? Oh, so he has been to Mississippi? This Friday, we're going to be working on Nolan Wells. So I definitely hope to see you all there because I would like to see what conspired there. Nolan Wells doesn't seem to be getting a fair shot in working yet. I don't know if it's too early on. I don't want to know the back end of it. I just want to see what he has to say. I want to see whose names he's going to name. I want to see if what he's going to say is going to lead up to the actual departure from here. We're done with Sebastian tonight. Yes, was working job site in Memphis, staying nearby in Horn Lake, Mississippi, where CP and KP left to after he went missing. Oh, okay. 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 Sebastian's next live, trying trying to think, today's Monday. Yeah. I want to at least do 2 cases and then go right back to Sebastian, because I think this is going to be a breaking point now where we are now because of the cases being busted wide open over this lawsuit, which is phenomenal. I can't wait. So I'm going to be, usually people are sending me things. I'm like, look what happened. Look what happened. So I'm sure my inbox will be flooded at some point during the week of whatever crazy thing that's going on in the news. I am going to do Nolan Wells Friday, and then I want to do Relisha Rudd. These cases aren't getting a whole lot of, any of them are getting a whole lot of breaking news at this point. So I'm going to be doing him Friday. If you guys are going to be there to join me, please do so. Rose Elizabeth is the Facebook page. Relisha is one case that I did work about 10 years ago. And I got, at that moment, when I did that case, she wasn't passed away. So that for me was strange considering the circumstances. So I'm going to do a recap on her case and see what comes through. And, has she passed since that time? Or, I believe that she was trafficked. And Nolan Wells, I don't really know too much about. A lot of people are claiming it was something to do with race. Very well could be. I don't know until I speak to him. Oh, yeah, I definitely believe that. I definitely believe, especially seeing her in handcuffs, and this is coming about, yes, 2.5 years later, but sometimes time is really what needs to be, because everything is working out for the universe, and the universe is making sure that plan is going to be quite the doozy. Yes. Okay, everybody, I'm going to get off this live. It's 1:16 in the morning. I have work in the morning. I have readings. We will be getting back on a live this week. Sebastian, I would like to at least try to get back on to immediately next week. I want to get Relisha's done, and I want to do Nolan's this week at some point. Friday is definitely Nolan's. Probably Monday for Relisha, and then back on it again for Sebastian, most likely Thursday. So, I will be keeping up with current, things going on in the news. So I will post from time to time during the week. But Nolan Wells, I want to get to this week. Yeah, I definitely want to. I want to work on this case because I'd like to know specifically, and I would like to know if it was really something that had to do with race, or was it something that they had to do with stupidity and not taking their friend back like they should have. I mean, I know some of the details of the case. I just don't want to know what the police part of it is, because that'll come out on its own. Okay, everybody, I'm going to end this live, and I want you to watch your six. Be careful. Always pay attention to your surroundings. And let's keep an eye open for what was said in this live tonight and anything else that comes out in these reports, if there does come any more reports. But I think a lot of things that Sebastian said tonight are most likely going to be mentioned, at least one or two things more. The few things I do have, the way he spoke to Sebastian. Keep your little in your pants and stay away from my daughter. Yeah, absolutely. You are very, very, very welcome, guys. And thank you for showing up. Thank you for joining. I'm doing these members live more often because I feel like it's only fair. And on top of that, you guys are the ones showing up the most. Um, just the ones that are here for Sebastian. Um, I like to at least give you guys the first few days. That way you can have the first on hand information and then you can have the first on questions. Anything after that, I'm posting it public later on, but I want to give those days leeway so we can have our time that way. So, all right, everybody, watch your six and please, please, please stay safe, okay? All right, guys.